Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. As you must have already guessed, today's video is a review on the Huda Beauty new Nude Eyeshadow palette. It's not a very new palette, but I needed to use it enough to be able to really review this for you guys. So last week I Instagram polled and asked you all what 5 products that I listed there did you all want to see a review on, and this is the one that kind of won most votes. Very close second was the Huda Beauty Overachiever Concealer, which I also will be reviewing next week. But first, today it is all about the Huda Beauty new Nude Eyeshadow Palette. So let's get right into it. Before we start, as always, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up if you do like it, and definitely hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video from me. Do follow me on Instagram because I do a lot of mini tutorials and tips and tricks and things like that on there. I am always on Instagram, especially on my stories. So definitely do follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And let's start. So I'm going to get right into it. Huda Beauty launched this amazing eyeshadow palette, and it is very different from the other ones that she has launched in the past. Going straight into the packaging, it comes in this white plastic, very sturdy packaging. I did throw it out, so I have linked a picture right here for you guys. So this is what it looks like, and once you take the palette out, this is what it looks like. It is extremely beautiful packaging, and everything about it. It is a neutral color. It has this holographic nude written on it. This is what the front looks like, and the back basically has the information about this palette. The packaging is very sturdy. It does not feel flimsy or anything of that sort. It is very slick, very classy, and it feels very high-end. So a little bit about the palette. It is a permanent palette of the Huda Beauty collection, and it has 18 eyeshadows in it. It is a mix of mattes and glitters and pearl finished eyeshadows in here. So this palette retails for 85 Canadian dollars, which is kind of steep, but at the same time you're getting 18 eyeshadows and quite a good quantity of eyeshadows in here. It is priced very comparably to all the other eyeshadow palettes that are out there that have a similar quality and a similar shade range in them. And when I say shade range, I mean similar amount of eyeshadows. So moving on to the inside of the palette, this is what it looks like, and let me just tell you that this is one of the most aesthetically beautiful eyeshadow palettes to look at. I think this is one of the reasons why people have instantly fell in love with this eyeshadow palette, because it is just so gorgeous to look at. So here's a close-up of the palette. It has a mirror, a full-size mirror as soon as you open it on the top side, and this is what all the eyeshadows look like. So this palette has got 10 matte eyeshadows, 4 multi-reflective shadows, which is the pressed pearl pigment shadows, 2 pressed glitters as you can see, and 1 pressed pearl and 1 concealer base. So starting off with the mattes, they are extremely blendable. They have a really nice buttery texture to them. They are extremely pigmented. That said, some of these mattes, like these shades right here, are difficult to use on darker skin tones because they take a lot of build up, plus they just don't show up sometimes. Something like this or this I would see myself using as a brow bone highlight. I don't really see myself using these shades in any other way because they're way too light for me to use. And so are some of the other shades. I mean, these 2 shades I did try and apply into my crease, but to be very honest, they just don't show up. So as far as the mattes go, out of the 10, there are just 6 shades right here that really show up on my skin tone and that I can actually use. The other thing I wanted to say about the matte eyeshadows, that this right here, Love Bite, is the darkest shade in the palette. So if I wanted to create a really dark smoky eye, or if you are someone who is into dark smoky eyes, then this is the darkest you will be able to go with this palette. Moving on to the 4 multi-reflective eyeshadows, which is this one, this one, this one, and this one. All 4 are absolutely beautiful, amazingly pigmented, very easy to blend and apply whether you're using your fingers or you're using brushes. So I absolutely love these eyeshadows. Next, talking about the pressed glitters, they are exactly what they are. They are pressed glitters. They have no pigment underneath them. So if I want to just kind of swatch this and show this to you guys, you can very clearly see that there is absolutely no pigment under this. So you can't probably apply these glitters by itself as an eyeshadow. You would need to apply something under the glitter, after which you can top it up with these glitters. I did do that when I created one of my looks, and they stick on perfectly well on top of any eyeshadow, whether it is matte or whether it's a shimmer eyeshadow. So I think it's a very good option for people who are scared to work with loose glitter, because these basically give the finish of loose glitters and at the same time save you from the hassle of applying glitter glue and then packing on loose glitters. So I think that's really good. And plus, because they are pressed glitters and you just apply it directly, they're very blendable and you can create a really nice fade with these two glitter eyeshadows that are in the palette. Then there's this shade, which is a pressed pearl eyeshadow, which is called Kinky. It is the only shimmer shadow, I would say, in the entire palette, and it is extremely pigmented. It's a very nice, beautiful pinky maroony color, and it goes beautifully on absolutely any skin tone. Finally, the concealer base called Conceal is, as per my opinion, completely useless, because this is the pigment that it has to it, and it is extremely light, especially if you have discolored eyelids, which I do have. And if you have darker eyelids, a lot of people have dark circles on their eyelids as well. If you are one of those, then this is pretty much going to be absolutely useless. It is a cream concealer base, so unless you're super fair skinned or have even skin toned eyelids, this is not going to work for you. Now, talking about this palette as a whole, I would say it is one of the lesser versatile palettes that are out there. And what I mean to say by that is basically the shade range. It is a mix of pinks and neutrals. So if you are someone who already owns a palette that has a lot of browns and blacks and a lot of neutrals basically, and the regular shadows that we usually use and that are really good to kind of create multiple looks with, then yes, this is an eyeshadow palette that you should go for. If on the other hand you are someone who does not own an eyeshadow palette and is thinking that you want to have only one eyeshadow palette, then this is something that I would not recommend, because the kind of looks that can be created with this palette are limited when it comes to color options. Pinks, nudes, plums, that's the kind of vibe that you get from this palette. So that is something that you should consider if you are considering to buy this palette. That said, the colors in this palette are very unusual. It is not something you would find in your regular Joe palette. So if you are someone who already has the usable versatile palettes and need pinks in your life, then this is definitely the palette that I would recommend. So here is the swatch of half of the palette, starting from the top all the way to the glitters. And here is the swatch of the remaining shades of the palette. So as you can see, the mattes are very pigmented on my arm, but some of the lighter mattes do not translate the same way on the eyes. However, the darker mattes look absolutely fabulous, and like I mentioned, they are a dream to blend. So finally, coming to the pros and cons of this palette, it is one of the most aesthetically beautiful palettes. If you are someone who loves to collect palettes, then this one definitely should be in your collection. You get 18 eyeshadows, which is amazing, and you get a mix of mattes, pearl finish shadows and glitters, which is a good variety of shadows to have in one palette. All the eyeshadows are extremely smooth, easy to apply, and they blend like a dream. If you're someone who loves glittery shadows and have difficulty in applying glitters, then these pressed glitters are for you. They are least messy and they look absolutely beautiful. They stick onto the eye without the use of any primers or glitter glues or anything of that sort. Coming to the cons, as I mentioned, this isn't the most versatile palette. So if you are someone who is buying just one palette, then this palette is not something that I would suggest. Secondly, the concealer base does not do anything for me. I think it is a complete waste of an eyeshadow. If it's called a concealing base, it has no coverage. It does nothing on my discolored eyes other than make it look super gray. Some of these mattes don't translate as well on the eyes, so for someone like me or for darker skin tones, a lot of the lighter mattes are going to be useless. So out of the 10, I can only use 6 mattes. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the cons. Overall, I personally really like this palette because I personally needed pinks in my life. I already have my other palettes, and honestly, I just needed to have this palette. Like I already mentioned, it looks so beautiful, and I just wanted this palette for my collection. That was my main first reason of buying it, which is why I had decided the minute it came out that I needed this in my collection. But now that I have used it, I am very happy with it because I don't have this shade range in my palette. And even though I can't use 4 shades plus the concealer base out of this entire 18 shades, 13 shades are still really good for me personally to be able to use out of an eyeshadow palette. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you want to see more reviews like these, then definitely do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to review the products for you. And now I will see you in my next video. Bye!